Got the pose down, right? Totally. On to the Super Samurai M Spider-Man Far From Home review. Hey, what's up guys, Super Samurai M here, and I saw Spider-Man Far From Home, one of my most anticipated movies of 2019, and I think we can all agree that it wasn't my number one, because we all know what my number one was. Click right here if you haven't seen that review. But yeah, you would think that nothing could top Endgame, right? And you would be correct. I'm going to keep this review as critically as possible. I see a lot of people, a lot of reviewers giving their thoughts on Far From Home. They just think it's good. It's good for what it is. It's just another Spider-Man movie. You know, it's pretty par for the course of what a Spider-Man movie is, right? And I can tell you right now, I freaking love this movie. Oh my gosh, I did not expect to love this movie so much. Guys, I cannot put into words how much I love this movie. Into the Spider-Verse is just barely my favorite Spider-Man movie. Into the Spider-Verse and Far From Home are battling it out for which one's my favorite Spider-Man movie. Let me set the stage for you guys. This movie alone is better than the entire Spider-Man Raimi trilogy. It's definitely better than The Amazing Spider-Man. In fact, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 looks like an embarrassment compared to what this movie is. But is it better than Into the Spider-Verse, though? I'll have to get back to you on that. Here's what people are doing. People are being blinded at the fact that this is just another MCU movie, and they're treating this like it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie's beyond fun, it's exciting, it's unpredictable. So, here's my review. So the movie starts off explaining, how civilian life is adapting to the events of Avengers Endgame, the aftermath. Of course, they call it the blip, where all the dusty characters just blip back to life. In fact, they actually make a joke out of it, which, if it happened in real life, it would be, a little too soon, but in this movie, they made it work, and that's really funny. So yeah, the first half of this movie, people complain about the first half of this movie not being as interesting as the second half. To some extent, I agree, but there is some great stuff in the first half. Peter's high school has a little memoriam of all the fallen Avengers, which I don't know how they would know the casualties, but whatever. It's the end of the school year apparently at his high school, and they're about to go to hang out in Europe, so that's cool. And Peter is crushing on MJ, so we kind of got that from the trailer, so cool. Peter's just adapting to a life without Tony Stark, and it's really compelling to see a character that has to live without their mentor, which we've seen other movies try to do that before, but haven't done it quite as well as Far From Home does. Especially with a well-developed character as well as Tony Stark, which works wonders with this movie. I wouldn't say it's Iron Man 3 all over again, but it's Iron Man 3 all over again. Can we just take a second to appreciate how accurately this movie illustrates teen romance? It's just so perfect. This is also what reviewers keep saying. This kind of comedy has been done to death before. No! This is relatable. It may be just because I am a freshman in high school and I can easily relate to these situations that are presented in this movie, and I can go oh, relatable. I relate. This is awesome. Connection. All the stuff with Peter and MJ, I can somewhat relate to that in some way. I think I should call my girlfriend after this. Okay, let's talk about Mysterio. So, Mysterio, obviously, one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. He's he is my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time. Maybe even villains of all time. Yeah, I can say that with full certainty. Mysterio is one of my favorite villains. So, yeah. And Jake Gyllenhaal crushes this role. Honestly, there's no other better casting that I could think of to perfectly embody who Mysterio is. He's Mysterio, so he has to be all manipulative and shiz. Now this movie completely subverts your expectations. If you don't know who Mysterio, like if you have no comic book knowledge, this movie is going to completely subvert your expectations because in the trailers, like in the trailers, I thought they had shown a little too much, but Marvel trailers are getting so much better than what they actually were. For movies like Age of Ultron, Thor Ragnarok, and even Civil War, those trailers have a tendency to kind of spoil some parts of the movie where we can kind of guess what's about to happen. But Marvel trailers lately have been getting so much better to the point where, like, they subvert your expectations. I did not expect this movie to subvert my expectations. I didn't know what I was getting into. Mysterio's in this movie. Endgame told you one story, but then completely told another one when the actual film came out. That is so cool. Like, Marvel is like stepping up their game when it comes to trailers lately. Like, this is just wow. There's a good chunk of this movie that's not in the trailers, and that chunk is... We'll get to it. Water Monster comes out of Venice, and, Mysterio has the fight, and now he's like... He reminded me of Syndrome from The Incredibles, where, like, he's posing as this bigger hero so that he can be more respected, and now he's manipulating the entire society. And then Peter, of course, helps him out with the water, with Hydro Man. What I think is Hydro Man, I hope. So yeah, Mysterio completely demolishes Hydro Man, and turns out there's like one more elemental left, and it's Molten Man. And through all of this, Nick Fury is working with Mysterio, but is being manipulated by Mysterio, and they're being tricked to working with Quentin Beck. So there's a lot going on there. But also at the same time, Nick Fury is trying to get Peter to work with him to make sure that Peter is a better Spider-Man and a better Avenger. So now that Nick Fury trusts Peter, he gives him this new AI, Edith, embedded into Tony's sunglasses. He is tricked into giving that technology to Quentin Beck, and then this leads to one of my favorite scenes in the movie where Quentin Beck, like, calls off the holograms and is celebrating. Quentin Beck gives the toast to, like, all the people who Tony Stark has fired over the years, and turns out that the technology that Mysterio has been using is Tony Stark's Barf Technology from Civil War. And we were all speculating the Barf Technology was going to be used in the future. And we thought it was going to be an Endgame, but no, it's in this movie, and it actually makes sense. Go back to earlier movies, in Civil War, and Iron Man, the scientist that helps Obadiah was pulled for this movie. From the first MCU movie, they were able to get the exact actor to portray that as so cool. The MCU is just mind-blowing sometimes. So yeah, Quentin Beck has like drones that can like alter like different parts of reality and stuff. So that's really cool. That's a really cool explanation for Mysterio's powers. Because Quentin Beck himself is a liar. He's an illusionist. So that's really cool. And once Peter finds out what's actually going on, then leads to him realizing that he can use the spider sense to detect which parts are illusions and which parts are real. So, and when the third act kicks into high gear, it really kicks into high gear, because the most badass thing I've ever seen any Spider-Man do, it was like take out multiple drones at once and just walk through and just... Why is nobody talking about this movie like this? I gotta tell you, man, the scene that happens before that, where Happy comes to get Peter and in his jet, and like Peter's having this emotional breakdown, which Tom Holland just killed that scene. Like that was like, I would have no notes as a director right there. Like, just like after that scene, John Watts just goes, "My job is done." But yeah, that one-on-one dynamic with Peter and Happy is really, really cool. I could see on Happy's face that Peter reminds him a little of Tony, and that was just an absolute endearing moment right there. So that was cool. And Happy tells Peter to make the suit. He'll handle the music, and they play "Back in Black" by AC/DC, and I just had flashbacks of Iron Man, and just good God, when I heard that guitar riff, I was in my seat, and I was just squeeing the entire time. I was like, AC/DC! Oh, that was awesome! Oh yeah, they make a Power Rangers reference, and Voltron, but they make a Power Rangers reference, and it's said by JV Smoove, which that sold it for me. Best movie of my life. I'm of course kidding. I'm just really glad they made a Power Rangers reference in a Marvel Studios Disney movie. I'm not even gonna try to connect those two. Disney's like, nah, we had them once before. We ain't do that again. You say that, Disney, but Hasbro's not looking so good right now. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Spider-Man. It's like every character in this movie gets their own time to shine and their own personal goal that they have to achieve. When it comes to these certain characters and these compelling themes that this movie introduces, it shows that in a way that makes sense to ways we've seen before, but never to the extent to it does in this movie. And this has one of my favorite this movie has one of my favorite third acts in the MCU by far. I mean, like, God, it's just so cool. I don't know why people are seeing this as another Spider-Man movie, or like a sequel as the quality of Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's how you see this movie as. Just another Spider-Man movie. What kind of sense does that make? This movie is way better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, by a long shot. It actually makes Ant-Man and the Wasp worse, because we can see how Marvel can raise the stakes with a character that shouldn't have that high stakes to begin with. I mean, yeah, they just want to make Ant-Man a comedy heist movie because wacky hijinks ensue, but we've seen that after Ant-Man has battled the Avengers and fought in a war with aliens and gods from other dimensions, like, we see that Ant-Man is ready for more than that. And I think I speak for all of us when I say they better step things up with the Ant-Man series, because when Ant-Man 3 rolls around, they better raise the stakes. This is indeed a perfect sequel. Not a perfect movie. By no means is this a perfect movie, but it is most definitely a perfect sequel. It falls in, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it falls in line with The Dark Knight, Shrek 2, Toy Story 2, Blade Runner 2049, like, those are perfect sequels. Spider-Man Far From Home fits perfectly with that. This is my second favorite MCU movie, and it's my favorite live-action Spider-Man. How about that? But Into the Spider-Verse is just barely my favorite Spider-Man movie. So, there's that. The post-credit scenes in this movie are also some of my favorite post-credit scenes in the entire MCU. First mid-credit scene contains one of the best cameos and references in any Spider-Man movie ever. Like, they brought J. Jonah Jameson back. I mean, that's just a Spider-Man fan's dream right there. The actor reprising his role, just a geek out moment right there for comic book fans, Raimi Spider-Man fans, just Spider-Man fans in general. And the last post-credit scene, oh boy, it's a doozy. I'm not going to spoil that one. I'll let you see it for yourself. So yeah, there's my review. What did you guys think of Far From Home? As always, please like the video, like it, subscribe for more content, sure support for ringing the bell, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Whip, flip, whip. Okay. Marvel. If you ever need another hero, available for casting. So, yeah, that just shows you how professional I am. There's a